but it's a very satisfying victory for Coach Schembechler. I think probably more satisfying than your first two.
Definitely, Jim. I was extremely proud of the Michigan team. I thought they played hard. I thought we were a better football team this week than we have been all season long. We're nowhere near where we would like to be going into the Big Ten season, but I feel much better about this ball club after this third game.
It was a squeaker, a 2-point win for you, but I know that you're happy about it because of the competition. Florida State is a quality team with some great athletes, aren't they?
I think they're one of the top 20 teams in the country. They're well endowed physically. They're well coached. It was a great intersectional battle.
In the game itself, you opened up offensively very good, but missed a field goal. Then you came back, and the defense got the big play for you.
That's right. We drove down and missed a field goal, and then immediately they fumbled a pitch to the tailback. We recovered, gave us great field position.
One of the keys of the game, the running game, was Jamie Morris. He looked great.
Jamie is a game player, and he plays his best football against the toughest competition, and I thought he was great all afternoon.
And the wishbone here, wide open touchdown.
This is the, classic wishbone play of the option. They didn't have a man on the pitch man. The last guy had to take Harbaugh, and he pitched it out. They come right back, and they're driving here now, hit a pass over the middle. They attempted quite a few quick slants. Sometimes we interfered them. Other times they hit them. Here is the play, or the type of play that hurt us the most, the cutbacks. Start direction one way and cut back. And we had to get those stopped the second half, or I don't think we would have been able to stop their attack.
Big play here by Dieter Herron.
Dieter Herron made the big play on the option, Jim. Right.
Forces them to try for the field goal.
Forces them to go for the field goal, and they get it, and the score is 7-3.
At that point in the game, in a close game like this, what are you thinking, offensively and defensively?
Well, the one thing I did think was that we would be able to move the ball offensively. I thought that was very important, and as you can see, Morris, another one of his classic runs where they hit him 2 or 3 times and he comes out the other end. But here's a second quarter play. It's a big one. Jim scrambles out, throws up here, and a diving catch by Johnny Colasar preserves the drive and gives us a big first down.
First pass completion for Jim Harbaugh, and here's another third down play. You go to the wishbone. 3rd and 3, and he gives the ball to Perriman, the fullback, who gets big yardage and a first down for us. Here's a 4th and 2 situation. We come back with the option again. Jim pitches again to Gerald White, and he gets just enough yardage for a first down. Took some chances in this game on 3rd and 4th downs on these situations.
Well, I think you play these a little bit differently than you do a conference game. Here we go for the field goal and get it and take a 10-3 lead here in the second period.
You got to feel good offensively. You're moving the football fairly well, but then defensively, this is again some of the things that hurt you. That
here's the cutback again. See a big one. Sammy Smith running the ball. He's a big, powerful young back. He's going to be a great back for Florida State. Here's Floyd, their other tailback, who's an excellent runner. We miss a tackle on the corner, and he gets a big run in the first down, and they're definitely threatening.
You got to be concerned a little bit about the defense because of the things that you're seeing now.
Well, they hit a draw play here and moved the ball. This is one time where they caught us for 3 or 4 real good plays that got them down in the 3rd and goal here. I thought they had a great call here. They hit the swing screen to the fullback, and he got in for the touchdown.
At halftime, it's 10-10, and you knew at that point you had to do some adjusting because of those cutback plays. One thing you did say, right, I don't want them to run on me, and in the first half they did.
Well, actually, you're right. The 2 things we had to do, one, offensively, make your adjustments and make them realize that we can move the football on this Florida State team. Second, we got to eliminate the cutback plays. They're getting too much yardage cutting back on us, and I thought our defensive staff, headed by Gary Moeller, did a great job.
Well, the defense certainly stiffened in the second half. Stay with us, because we'll be back with second half highlights when Michigan Replay continues.
I kept saying to myself in my mind, I was saying, as long as they block, I'm going to run hard as I can. I only get a few shots every game, so I got to make the best of it. It wasn't like me doing it. It was the line. It was all the line. Line and fullback. That's who did it all. I just ran with it when they blocked it. They made the hole, and I did it.
We just got that determination in our face and went out there and gave it our all.
At 10-10 at half, that was all Michigan could do, as Billy Harris said, give it their all.
And opening the half, you intercept their first play from scrimmage, don't do anything with it. They miss a field goal. Did you ever think that was going to develop in the second half?
Well, when the second half started, neither team moved very well in their first 2 possessions. And it looked like, you know, it wasn't the way it was designed.
But on your third possession, you finally got things going.
Right. Well, we threw here down to Greg McMurtry, and they interfered with him. And that's our first big break. Got a first down out of that.
Did you want to throw more?
Yes, but we, you know, we felt we could run on this team, and actually we could. Here he hits Gerald White coming out of the backfield. Gerald was in at tailback on that particular play, came out of the backfield and made the play. Here's a bootleg pass, throws out here to Bob Perriman and makes a great catch, and it's short of the first down, but it got us, we got a first down out of this, went down in, and kicked the field goal that gave us a 13-10 lead. I thought that was important, that we got the first points of the second half on the board, even though it was only a field goal. Here's a 3rd and 22. Andy Moeller on a great blitz sacks them and forces them to punt. 3rd down and 1 here on our next drive. Thomas Wilshire in at tailback now, replacing Jamie. It was a very hot and humid day, and Tom came in there with fresh legs and really gave us a lift at the running back position.
And what a big play this was.
This was a big one because it was 3rd and extra long, and Kenny Higgins makes a great catch here for a first down. And that was a big play, Jim, because that kept that drive alive. Unfortunately, a couple of penalties set us back. We had to go for a long field goal again, and this time we failed to make it.
But then again, they get the ball back, and it's the defense that makes the play.
Right, and this would probably be the key play. 3rd and 5, he didn't want to go there. As you could see by his eyes, that was the second choice. And fortunately, Ivan Hicks jumped in front of it for the key interception. And on this drive, we're going to score now here, Jim. And here's a 3rd and 8. He hits Higgins out here in the right sideline on the outcut, and that just barely got us the first down, by the way. Thomas Wilshire on the counter play comes around, does a great job of running. I thought that he was outstanding. And boy, that's what you'd like to have.
Right, and this drive at this point in the game was just outstanding also. The offensive line, after having a hot day to play, they did a good job.
It was a heavy hit. Here's the 2nd down play. We run the counter play, and Thomas goes in standing up. That put the game on ice, really. There's 1 minute 30 seconds left. They had 2 timeouts left, and they got a chance to score, which unfortunately they did, Jim. But, you know, time was on our side. That touchdown, I thought, iced it for us. Here they throw over the middle, playing a little too loosely probably, but, you know, smartly, you don't want to make a mistake and give them a big play. Here he rolls out on them and hits Gaines in the corner for a touchdown. They go for a 2-point play and get it to their tight end. It's a 20-18 game with 17 seconds left.
Now, what are you thinking when this onside kick happens?
The onside kick comes, and Higgins dives in here to get the ball. As you can see, he failed to catch it. The ball rolled around and went out of bounds. So that was automatically our ball there. At the same time, the Florida State team was offside. So we had our choice of the football or make them kick over from the 20-yard line or 30-yard line. And, of course, we decided to take the ball and run out the clock.
Now it's time for the Budweiser play of the game.
Ivan Hicks was the key play in my mind because this gave us an opportunity first to stop their drive and to mount our drive for the winning touchdown.
So you get the 20-18 victory over Florida State. It's a win. Are you where you want to be at the end of the non-conference schedule, heading into the conference season?
Well, Jim, for the 2nd year in a row, we're 3-0 in the non-conference schedule. I think any time you can do that when you're playing Notre Dame, you're playing Florida State. Last year we played Maryland and South Carolina. I think you got to feel good about that. No, we're not the type of team yet that can go through this schedule and win it all, but we got a chance. And we got a chance because at the present time we're undefeated. Our attitude's good. We should get better as the season goes along.
It seems as football seasons go, there's always 2 seasons. There's that non-conference schedule, then there's the conference schedule where you start fighting the backyard opponents. The offense has been consistent. I know there's some concern with the defense, although they played better against Florida State.
I thought they did. I thought they improved a lot. Let's don't have our expectations too high for our defense because you got to understand these offensive teams are very good. And we haven't given up a whole lot of points. We've given up some yardage, but this team If you were to take out the last drive, they barely got 200 yards, Jim. Now, they ended up with about 285 yards, something like that. I say that's good defensive football.
Is there a key for you as you head into the conference schedule? I know, obviously, injuries, the lack of them, you wouldn't want any key injuries, but is there a key?
The key, I think, is a typical key for any football team. You're either going to get better or you're going to get worse. If we get better, we got a chance to win it. But if we slack off in any way, offensively, defensively, kicking, no matter what it is, then you're going to run into trouble. We're not an awesome power, but there aren't very many awesome powers out there.
All right. Coming up, a round-robin look at the Big Ten. Stay with us as Michigan Replay continues.
The league isn't talented. The brightest newcomer may be in West Lafayette. Freshman quarterback Jeff George has already earned a starting job. The sensational youngster has the likes of Jerry Chaney and Lance Shive as very capable receivers. While George will struggle some early, he can only get better with time. While George is the top newcomer, the top returnee may be Lorenzo White of Michigan State. The gifted tailback is a legitimate Heisman hopeful after finishing 4th in the balloting last year. In addition, quarterback Dave Yarima is playing the best of his career, and wide receivers Mark Ingram and Andre Rison are legitimate deep threats. Defending champion Iowa must replace Chuck Long, and it appears as though Hayden Fry has done it with Mark Vlasic. Receivers Robert Smith and Jim Morrow are Vlasic's primary targets. At Minnesota, the option is still king, and quarterback Ricky Foggy makes it happen. And Foggy is getting help from freshman tailback Darrell Thompson. Foggy can go to the air also and has a great one in Gary Couch, who can make the big play at any time. Wisconsin's offensive hopes are on the very able shoulders of running backs Larry Emery and Joe Armentrout. Quarterback Mike Howard is coming off an injury, and if he's 100%, look out. Indiana returns their entire offensive line, along with running backs Damon Swayze and Tom Poles, to give the Hoosiers a very respectable running game. The receiving corps is led by Stacy Dawsey, who's a threat at any time the Hoosiers put it up. At Illinois, Shane Lamb has taken over the quarterback duties, and receiver Stephen Pierce is his favorite target in a typical run-and-shoot type offense. There's never a lack of talent at Ohio State, and this year is no different, with Chris Carter at wide receiver. He's one of the nation's best, and quarterback Jim Carsados is very qualified to get him the ball. The running game has the typical bruising fullback in George Cooper, and he's assisted by tailback Vince Workman, so don't count the Buckeyes out despite a slow start. On the defensive side of the ball, we'll stay in Columbus for maybe the best in the league. Linebacker Chris Spielman is a great one, and just a junior. He leads a veteran group, including a secondary that returns 3 starters. Michigan State's defense has come of age with Todd Crum leading the way at strong safety. The linebackers are led by Shane Bullen. Up front is Mark Nichols and a better-than-average Spartan defense. Indiana has a secondary led by returners Leonard Bell and Alex Green. And with the improved play of Willie Bates, Indiana has solidified the defense. At Iowa, defensive tackle Jeff Drost is the sack artist. He's the leader of the Hawkeyes' very formidable front wall, and taking over at middle linebacker is George Davis, who's a very good one. Wisconsin's Rick Graff has been beating up the league for years, and he's back again, as is linebacker Tim Jordan. Nate Odoms leads the secondary, and the Badgers will field another hard-nosed defense. Minnesota returns 10 starters from a year ago, and the best are Mark Duspavic, Larry Joyner, and Bruce Holmes. They join secondary backs Dwayne Dutrell and Donovan Small to make the Gophers a tough group. Purdue has All-American safety Rod Woodson. He's been a starter for the Boilers since he was a freshman. At linebacker, the Boilers look to Fred Strickland to get it done, and up front, Kevin Holly is the mainstay. Illinois has a nucleus on defense led by Ray Hairston, Scott Davis, and Chris Carpenter that can keep the Illini in a lot of ball games. They're a blitzing, gambling defensive team, and these 3 players make it work. As we said, it may not be a big name year, but there isn't any question there's plenty of talent around the league for 1986.
A pretty impressive list of talent around the Big Ten Conference, and Michigan, you didn't see any of their players in that group because you'll see those all season long. And you didn't see Northwestern there. That's because Northwestern is not on Michigan's schedule this year. That means you have the toughest conference schedule of anyone.
That's right. Well, don't say that. They've just won 2 ball games.
That's right.
But I think as you looked at that, some people would think about their non-conference record of the Big Ten. I don't take too much stock in that because I know these ball clubs well. I think they're probably a little bit stronger defensively than they are offensively this year, but there's some great newcomers coming into the league, and there have been games where Big Ten teams have rolled up 50, 60 points. So I think it's a typical Big Ten season. It's going to be exciting and close, and look out, anything can happen.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I know you won't be shy about that because you do that quite often, but I see it as 4 legitimate contenders and 5 dark horses. And that's pretty competitive around the league.
Right.
with Iowa, Michigan, Ohio State, and Michigan State probably being the 4 legitimate contenders. Would you agree?
Coming out of the non-conference schedule, I would say that. Although I've always had respect for the teams at Minnesota and Wisconsin. And as you know, I have said repeatedly in the last couple of years that the coaching staff in Indiana will develop an outstanding football team before too long.
And Indiana, with Bill Mallory there, is developing a defense. And I think that's where you started when you came to Michigan, wasn't it? You said, I want to build defense first, and that's what he's done.
Right. Well, you know, if you're going to win the league, you've got to be playing great defense. That's why we have to continue to improve defensively if we're going to win the title.
Real quickly, is this the most competitive you've seen the conference in years, or maybe a couple years ago when we had 4 or 5 guys at the top?
Well, last year it was very close, as you know, Jim. I think it'll probably end up being very close this year. But as you say, those 4 teams seem to have the edge, but don't count anybody out right now.
Stay with us, because coming up we'll have a closer look at Michigan. And the wishbone here, wide open touchdown.
This is the, you know, classic wishbone play of the option. They didn't have a man on the pitch man. The last guy had to take Harbaugh, and he pitched it out. They come right back, and they're driving here now. Hit a pass over the middle. They attempted quite a few quick slants. Sometimes we interfered them. Other times they hit them. Here
It was a squeaker, a 2-point win for you, but I know that you're happy about it because of the competition. Florida State is a quality team with some great athletes, aren't they?
I think they're one of the top 20 teams in the country. They're well endowed physically. They're well coached. It was a great intersectional battle.
In the game itself, you opened up offensively very good, but missed a field goal. Then you came back.
It's the play or the type of play that hurt us the most, the cutbacks. Start direction one way and cut back. And we had to get those stopped the second half, or I don't think we would have been able to stop their attack.
Big play here by Dieter Herron.
Dieter Herron made the big play on the option, Jim. Right.
Forces them to try for the field goal.
Forces them to go for the field goal, and they get it, and the score is 7-3.
At that point in the game, but it's a very satisfying victory for Coach Schembechler. I think probably more satisfying than your first 2.
Definitely, Jim. I was extremely proud of the Michigan team. I thought they played hard. I thought we were a better football team this week than we have been all season long. We're nowhere near where we would like to be going into the Big Ten season, but I feel much better about this ball club after this 3rd game.
And the defense got the big play for you.
That's right. We drove down and missed a field goal, and then immediately they fumbled a pitch to the tailback. We recovered. Gave us great field position.
One of the keys of the game, the running game, was Jamie Morris. He looked great.
Jamie is a game player, and he plays his best football against the toughest competition, and I thought he was great all afternoon.